Welcome to the Roaming Yeti podcast, where we share stories, tips, and resources to help you get out there and roam. I am your host and head Yeti, Beth Scalacci. In this episode, I talk with Laurie Luck about her and her husband's trips to the CM Ranch in Wyoming. The ranch includes lots of horses, beautiful scenery, and of course, dogs. Laurie loves running, dogs, and microbrews, but not necessarily in that order. She owns Smart Dog University, where she offers board and training services for puppies 10 weeks to 5.5 months. In addition, she has raised over 20 puppies for service dog work. She and her husband love to travel and drink local beer wherever they go. Because of this fondness for local beer, they also run a lot. They have found that running when they travel allows them to see places they may not have seen otherwise. You ready? Let's roam. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. This is another fun discussion. I'm realizing I have friends who do very cool things, is what I'm learning through this process. So today, got the pleasure of speaking to Laurie and about her. It's a ranch vacation. How do you describe this vacation to even begin with?
Yeah, I would say ranch horseback riding. We take it because it's a horseback riding vacation, and we don't get to do that any other time. So,
gotcha. And where is it located, and what is the ranch's name so I can give it a proper title?
So it's this. The ranch is the CM Ranch. C is in Charlie. And I used to know what the M stood for because it was a real person. Okay. CM, M is in Mary. Ranch it's a place called Dubois, which looks like Dubois, but they will tell you very quickly that it's Dubois, Wyoming. And it's out in the middle of really nowhere. It's a little bit harder to get to, but that's where it is. It's the CM Ranch in Dubois, Wyoming.
And brings up a good point. So where do you fly into, and then how do you get from? What is the process of getting there?
It's an interesting process. We've done two different ways. We've flown in to Jackson. So we've flown into Jackson. But to get to Jackson, you've got to take a smaller plane. You have to have a stopover somewhere and then take a smaller plane into Jackson, which is fine. But it does start to get pricey. Not very many flights go into Jackson. I mean, Jackson's an itty bitty airport, and you walk off. I don't care what size plane you come in. It's small enough that you walk off of it on stairs, right? Okay. And walk across the tarmac because you're the only, maybe there's another plane there, but anyway, it's a little tiny airport. So there's that. It's expensive, and it can take a while to get there because not many flights go in. Or we would fly in a couple of times. We've flown in to Salt Lake City. Okay. And then both times we've rented a car because at least to Salt Lake City, it's nonstop, right? You just get there. And so the last time we went, we rented a car and then sort of took a day and a half to get to the ranch. So we stopped in Idaho Falls, I think, which was kind of fun because we'd never seen anywhere out there other than the ranch. So, we stopped and got an Airbnb and found the local breweries and had a great time doing it that way. It just adds a couple of days onto each end of the trip. And there's more driving, obviously. So it's not easy to get to, but the views, it's beautiful. Right. It's beautiful. And you just have to either spend more money or spend more time.
Right. Which makes sense. So how did you learn about this ranch?
Very roundabout. So there's an organization called the Dude Ranchers Association, and they've got a great website, and it seems to be a really well-run organization, and it collects not collects information. If you're a ranch, you can belong to this membership of the Dude Ranchers Association, and all of your information is there on the website if you're a rancher. So I went there and I found a completely different ranch that looked amazing in this little town of Dubois. And when I contacted them, they said they were up for sale. And so they were recommending this other place, the CM Ranch, because they weren't really sure if by the time we got out there, if they would still own the ranch and if it would still be open. So they were directing all of their potential clients to the CM ranch, which is where we wound up. So the CM wasn't even on my radar when we first were looking, but again, sort of lucked into it, and it was really nice.
And what motivated you to even look into, going on a horseback riding trip and ranch?
So my husband and I are really outdoorsy kind of people, and we love horses, but not enough to actually have them. Right? It's big commitments. You gotta have enough land, enough money. We don't have, really either of those, or the desire really to take care of a horse. But we enjoy spending time around them, learning about them, and then seeing another part of the country. So I had suggested many years ago, hey, let's would you be up for a horseback riding trip? And he said, I don't really know. It could be really bad, right? If the horses aren't great, or if the people aren't great, or if you get sore, or there's a lot of ways it could go wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I had done a couple of horseback riding vacations in the past, and I was like, it's really cool. You can do as little or as much as you want, and you can ride if you want. You don't have to ride. So he agreed. He's an outdoors kind of guy, and I think the thought intrigued him of, let's see what it's like. And if worst case scenario, we go hiking, right, which is, it's still beautiful. So that's how that all came about. I had done it a couple of times and showed him some pictures and said what a great time it was, and I thought he'd really like it. And so that's how it all came about. We like to be outside. We love to be around horses and just see something that we hadn't seen before.
All right. So you booked your trip. Like, what is there anything you need to do to prepare for this trip? Like, do you need to be a horse? Like, do you have to be familiar with riding, or can a beginner go, or sort of?
Yeah. So that's the cool thing. You don't have to have ever ridden a horse before, ever. Most ranches have truly beginner horses, because lots of people want to give it a try, and they may not have ever had the opportunity to ride a horse ever before. And so most ranches have beginner to advanced programs. This ranch is, I think there's some sort of horseback riding safety certification that ranches can get, and they have this, which means all of their horses are solid ranch horses. They don't put beginners on flighty horses, right? They put their kids, these are horses that they put their kids on. Now, that's not to say a horse is an animal with free will. I mean, they have hooves. They're 800,000 pounds. You can get hurt on a horse. Absolutely. But you don't have to be an advanced rider. They will teach you everything. You do have to have boots, right? So you have to have boots, and you have to have, of course, comfortable clothes to ride in, because that is a safety issue. You can't have flat-soled shoes. You have to have a heel.
Oh, okay.
And where we were, you didn't have to wear a helmet. I did. But a lot of out west is a lot different than, back east. Hey, if you want to ride without a helmet, feel free. There was no requirement. Like I said, I took my own helmet. It's just not worth it to me. I mean, what if I fall? What if it's my mistake, right? Or what if I just fall off? Or you never know. So anyway, beginners can absolutely do it.
That's awesome. And so talking about boots and stuff, like what other things did you like pack and wear on while you're there?
Yeah. So I think anywhere out west is sort of, you have to dress in layers. So the CM ranch, they had morning rides and afternoon rides. You could do as many or as little as you wanted. In the morning, it was a little chilly. But by the time we came back, so we'd ride out for an hour and a half, maybe, and then ride back for an hour and a half, or out and around. So when you left at like 9 o'clock in the morning, you needed a jacket. But then by 11:30 in the afternoon, when the sun's up, and high, we were taking the jackets off and just having t-shirts. So Layers are definitely, I would say, a slicker or some sort of rain jacket. The ranch had some too. I mean, they always packed a like a rain jacket on our saddlebags. But if you have your own, then you're really set. Comfortable boots that you have broken in, or some sort of shoe with a heel. It's got to have a heel that you've broken in. And I would say some roomy pants, because you're going to be up on a horse. We just wore jeans, but they were the comfortable jeans. We made sure that, again, they weren't brand new. We weren't breaking in jeans. And then just some like regular hiking stuff, because if you don't feel like riding, hiking is always an option, and probably at any ranch you go to, hiking's an option. So we always had like some exercise clothes, and then sunscreen, always sunscreen, and sunglasses, or some sort of hat with a bill on it, whether it's a cowboy hat or a baseball cap, something, because it's super bright. You're out in the sun all day, so sunscreen, sunglasses, and then some sort of hat with a bill to keep the sun out of your face. But mainly comfort, I would say.
Yeah, so you're not, you don't want to buy that new pair of boots on your way into town.
I do not recommend that at all. Your feet will be sorer than the rest of you if that's what you do.
Wonder how many people do that. Like,
I don't know, but oof, yikes. And not good clothes either. Like, horses are dirty. I mean, they're dusty, they're dirty. If you're riding behind people, which you will, if you start to lope or anything, you're going to get dirt. It's dirty.
Yeah,
dirty.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Take a few garbage bags, put clothes in.
Yeah, exactly.
The ride
and
home.
don't take any like bedazzled clothes. It's just, it's not worth it.
No rhinestone cowboy.
No rhinestone. Exactly.
So you're saying you had a morning ride and an afternoon ride. What other activities did you do throughout the day and throughout the trip?
Yeah, so we hiked some beautiful locations, and that was sort of on our own. I think you could have done a guided hike if you wanted. They also would bring in like a massage therapist. So if you wanted like a spa day, they had a sort of a separate area where you could sign up for that sort of thing. You could go, if you had your own car, you could go into town, which was kind of fun because it's a little tiny town, and it was very much like what you'd expect, like out in the West. Like they had saloons, and like not just like tourist saloons. The Du Bois is not a tourist town. It's a small town, and locals will definitely recognize anybody out there as a non-local. So it's not overrun with tourists. So if you went into the saloon, that was where the locals went. It wasn't like, how like I'm expecting like Dodge City or something, like from Gunsmoke, like it's all for the tourists, and it looks, no, this is the real thing. So you could go into town, you could, sit at the bar and get a beer. They didn't really have much shopping, really. I mean, it was, again, like a regular town. Hiking, if you just wanted to sit and read, they have cabins, right? And so we stayed in a cabin and all the cabins have front porches. And so you could just sit on your front porch and read a book and watch. We were next to a stream. I mean, it was relaxation central. It was amazing. Yeah, it was really nice. But they're really, they had Wi-Fi, wasn't blazing fast, no TVs. So if you wanted to get your news, you had to, go to online to get your news. So that was kind of nice. No TVs, no radio. I mean, you could certainly bring a radio if you wanted, but come on, you've got the stream, and you've got the birds, and you've got, the owls at night. So almost all outdoor things to do. If it was raining, which it rarely did when we were there, take a nap. You take a nap, and I wish there was not enough time in the day for a nap. I wished every day that I could get a nap, because we were up early and we would ride in the morning, and then we'd have to come back and get lunch, and then there was like 45 minutes of downtime that was just enough to drift off to sleep. but then you had to be back down if you wanted to, which we did. I had to be back down at the barn, at the corral, like 45 minutes after lunch, which was just enough time to start to drift off, but we didn't want to miss out on the next ride. So,
right.
So yeah.
So what kind of food did you guys eat? Were you involved in the preparation of it or?
No. So
Okay.
I think every ranch might be different, but the CM was such that meals were almost always buffet. It's a small ranch, so only 50 guests maximum. So 50 guests maximum, and everything was served in a dining building, like a dining cabin, actually.
Okay.
And you sat at tables with people. So you didn't have, it wasn't a bunch of smaller tables. It was a couple, big tables, and you sat with other people. And they would serve you the breakfasts where you could get stuff to order. They also had like yogurt and cereal and oatmeal and things like that out. They would also have bacon and sausage, all good food. But if you wanted pancakes or waffles, you could order those special. If they always had like some sort of breakfast special, you could order that as well. Lunches were almost always, if you weren't in the saddle, they had a couple of all-day rides where you could actually pack your lunch and eat lunch on the trail, which was really cool. So lunchtime, if you were there for lunchtime, it was another buffet, and they had Taco Tuesday and they had Fajita Friday. Again, really good stuff. And then for dinner, they almost always went out pretty big for dinner. There was always beef and chicken. And then I think they almost always had a vegetarian option. And if you had special dietary needs, they could certainly, if you told them in advance, they would accommodate that. But it was heavy on the meat. I remember I was like, thank God they have salads, because give me all the vegetables you can. I'm a big vegetable person. And I remember thinking when I got home was like, I gotta stock up on some salads, because I ate a lot of meat. I mean, that's just what the West is like, I think.
Right.
Meat and potatoes every meal, which is not what I'm used to here, but it was good food. It was not fancy, but it was good. It was really good food, and there was plenty of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely from this discussion, it's not like a roughing it vacation.
Mm-mm. It was definitely not a roughing it vacation,
which is my kind of thing.
Yeah,
not roughing it.
and we liked it because it wasn't roughing it, and it also wasn't posh.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I do like to get dirty. I do like to be outside. I do like to be hands-on. And I like to be tired at the end of the day.
Right.
That was definitely this. We had a small cabin. It was literally a bedroom and a bathroom, and then a nice little front porch, which was great. And so it was the perfect sort of in between, because you didn't have to dress up fancy. You didn't, we might have worn something nice once, which was like the happy hour, get to know everybody cocktail evening. And when I say cocktail evening, like, we didn't wear dirty jeans, right? It was not like cocktail, like we wore heeled shoes. Not at all. But it was great because it was sort of in the middle. It wasn't, we weren't camping, but we weren't at like a hotel.
Right.
Where, so it was perfect. It was perfect for us, which is what we were that's what we were looking for.
Yeah, it sounds, I love an active vacation. I like a vacation when I get home that I actually need another vacation to rest up.
Yeah, that's our kind of vacation.
So that definitely sounds fun. So what was your favorite experience on the trip?
They have once a week. I had a couple things I like, but once a week you can go on an all-day ride, and you leave that morning. So after breakfast, you either tell them what you want for lunch or you make your own lunch, either way. And when you get to the corral, your lunch sack is already in your saddlebag, and you set out for an all-day ride. So you go out in the morning and you come back a few hours before dinner. which is so cool because you get to get further away from the ranch. They lease, just hundreds of thousands of acres. So you get to ride 3 hours away from the ranch, and see, I don't know, streams and mountains that you don't normally get to see on your morning ride or your afternoon ride. And you get to kind of get to know people that are the other guests that are there with you, because you're in a saddle for 6 hours. And everybody, any sort of pretenses just sort of drop away, because, you're in a saddle, and you stop and eat lunch, usually in this a beautiful location, right? And you hop off your horse, you eat, every bit of your food, because you're so hungry. Like you work hard, right? You work hard getting there, even on horseback, and then you ride back, and it's amazing. And we've done this vacation, I'm going to say 3 or 4 times.
Oh, okay.
And every time we've done it, we've ridden to a different location on our all-day rides. One of our all-day rides actually got cut short because, on one of our all-day rides, it didn't get cut short, but we were up way, the elevation was we rode up to 10,000 feet or something ridiculous. Oh, wow. And so we got snowed on up there. There was no snow in the valley, but we got snowed on, which was kind of fun. Another ride got cut short because a storm rolls in. In the mountains, a storm can come over the ridge and you don't even know it was there. So there was lightning. We had to dismount. They had to call trailers to come pick us up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but again, it's a story. It's something that you'll never forget it. And so, so the all-day rides are some of my favorites. And then they also do something called a breakfast ride, where you ride to breakfast. So you ride to breakfast, and they have they cook all the breakfast there at the site at the where you ride to, which is next to these beautiful badlands, which are like the painted rocks and everything. So it's just a stunning sort of vista to look out at. It's amazing. So those are my 2 favorite things.
It's very cool. So you're in more of a mountain, obviously, if you're going up 10,000, so you're in a mountainous area, and like, are you seeing animals on these rides, or?
Yeah. So when we went for our hike, they made us carry bear spray, because bears are always, we never saw a bear, but they were like, I'd rather you have it and not need it than come across a bear and not have any spray.
Not have it.
Yeah. We saw bighorn sheep, which are like on the mountain, which is they're amazing, because they can walk on like the most precarious of precipices, right? Mm-hmm. And so just amazing. We saw pronghorn sheep, pronghorns, which are like antelopes.
Oh, okay.
So they look like deer, but they're not quite. And the prong, cool stuff. We heard a lot of owls, but we didn't see any. Thank goodness we didn't see any snakes, because I'm not into snakes. We saw like your typical stuff. We didn't see anything. They also have some sort of big cat, like bobcats and stuff. Okay. We saw tracks of those, but never. They stay hidden. They don't want to see us. And just some really cool birds. Really. Mm-hmm. So I didn't see anything amazing. Oh, the bighorn sheep were pretty amazing to see in real life.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything on these trips that you're sort of like, I could leave that behind, or like I don't like, or there's?
That's a good question. Well, as I mentioned, like I could have used a whole lot more vegetables. Give me some more of it. They had plenty of sweets. So like the food was so good. I just could have used more vegetables. The getting there and getting home. I also personally would have liked a little bit more autonomy to do more with the horses. We were able to unsaddle them and unbridle them. And I get it, for safety's sake. And, you get people that don't know their way around a horse and could get really injured. We really couldn't do, we had to wait until a wrangler was there so we could dismount, right? So we didn't really have as much autonomy as I have it as I have had at other places. But I get it. Again, they earned this safety certification for a reason. Right. You're not going to get hurt there, if you do everything right. And I totally get that. But yeah, there's really not a lot to dislike on a riding vacation, if you ask me.
Yeah. So you didn't get to brush that. I remember like being a kid and brushing the horses, and that was always
you could do that at the end. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you could do that at the end of the day. You could brush them, and they even let you give them like a couple of horse peppermint treats, nice. Which was kind of cool. You'd stick a couple extra in your pocket and give them a few extras, which was kind of fun.
Gotta love that. Do you feel like have you learned anything about yourself on these trips to the ranch?
Yeah, I have learned. I'm such an extrovert. I love to be around people. I love to be but I really found that I kind of like the peace and quiet too. When we were out for a couple of hours on a horse, and you don't even see a car. You don't see anybody other than the group that you're with. No cars, no houses, no people, no dogs. I mean, nothing. Not even another road. You don't even see a road. I really do like this solitude. I really learned that I enjoy just listening to what's out there, the streams or the wind, even just the wind, or the birds. It's very almost like textbook Western with the birds screaming way up high, and then the wind. It's beautiful, and I learned that I really enjoy that solitude and quiet.
Now, I have to, obviously, or at least I'm hoping there were dogs on the ranch, because I can't imagine you going on vacation without dogs.
That was one of my requirements. When we searched for all these ranches, I was like, do you have dogs? And, are we allowed to interact with them? And so, yeah, they had several dogs there, and some of the wranglers had dogs. And so there were dogs pretty much everywhere, which was kind of cool. They didn't really come out on the trail with us because it was, like I said, we would travel a fair distance every day. But yeah, absolutely. There were dogs at the corral there. They didn't want you to bring them into your cabin because,
I was going to be my next question. I know darn well.
Yeah, we might've had a dog or two in the cabin. Mostly because, you never know if the next guest of that staying in that cabin is going to like dogs, and you don't want the dog to get used to. That's okay. We said, you just come on in with us. And so yeah, every now and then we'd have a dog in the cabin and a cat. They had cats too, of course. And some of the cats were really cool. That's actually the one thing I didn't like. So not the cats and not the dogs, but okay. You're out in the middle, you're in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. There are mice, and you could hear them at night, and there's nothing they can do about it, because you could kill as many mice as came in, and there's still thousands there. We're out in the middle of nowhere. You're never going to get rid of the mice. So we'd let the cats in too, because so at night the cats would sleep with us sometimes, because they would be up and like catching mice, and they had traps and everything, and there's nothing you can do.
Right. It's nature.
There's nothing you can do about the mice. It's just what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that was the one thing I was like, I can do without the mice, but it was fine. It's not like any ran across my face or anything, but
right.
You could definitely hear them at night. They were scurrying around. But if you had a cat, if you broke the rules and had a cat in your cabin, you're a little bit better off.
Yeah, I just can't imagine you not having a dog or a cat in the cabin with you. So
yeah, as often as possible, we would be like, come on in, hurry up, just get in here. Right, no barking. Be quiet, and you can stay for longer.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
and then sure. the next people that were in that cabin were probably like, why is this dog like knocking at the door, like pawing at the?
Why is this dog lying on the porch waiting for us to open the door? Sorry. Dog lovers only in this cabin.
Exactly. So funny. What do you wish you would have known before your first trip? So basically, like, any advice you'd have for people who are looking to.
Good question. I think you have to go wanting to ride horses. So for instance, my dad has always said, I'll go with you guys. I'll go with you guys. And we wouldn't mind having him along. Absolutely. We'd love to have him. But I don't think he wants to ride as much as we ride. And like I said, unless you're pretty physically active at this ranch, they have a pool and you could certainly sit by the pool, but my dad's not a sit by the pool kind of guy. So you have to really want to be outdoors, and you have to want to be on horseback, and you have to want to be physically active, at least at this place, because there really isn't a whole lot else to do. Unless you just want to sit and read, and that's cool too, because you can do lots of that. and even like some non-strenuous hiking, you could sort of walk they occupy this big valley, so you could take a non-strenuous walk sort of out through, they live back, I don't know, like 3 mile drive, maybe a 3 mile drive, like just to get back to you could walk that. It's real easy, but there's really not a lot to do there unless you want to be physically active and ride horses and or hike. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to do those things, probably not the best. And or if you want really good cell signal was non-existent, so you had to rely on Wi-Fi. So if you had to be like connected to the office, it's not the place. Yeah, that's not the place to be.
That's good that if you don't need to work. So
yeah, exactly.
Good excuse not to, because you can't.
That's right. You can't do it.
No, yeah. I just have this vision of like what the stars look like at mm-hmm. night out there in the dark.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I also did another trip when I turned 50. A high school friend of mine and I went and we did the roughing it. We did 5 days in the saddle in a tent on a pack trip.
Yeah. Good for you.
Right. And that was out in Utah. So I've done this riding vacation stuff a lot. And the skies out there, because there wasn't even a town, like we were trailered to a trailhead, and then we rode all day to get into camp. And we never crossed a road after we left the trailhead. I mean, we were out, we were in the black darkness, and the stars at night were so bright. Like the Milky Way was, it felt like it lit up the ground. Like the Milky Way itself, it felt like was as bright as the moon is here. You know what I mean?
Right.
On the East Coast. The sky is amazing. One of my most fun things that we did on this last vacation at the ranch, they brought in a, I don't know, like a star guy, like an astronomy guy. Mm-hmm. And he, after dinner and after it got dark, he took us on like a tour of the night sky. And
oh, nice.
Oh, it was the coolest thing. And he gave us a bunch of resources that we have since tapped into back at home. We can't see nearly the stars that they see out there, but still, we can still see a lot of what he pointed out, because you can see so many more stars out there. It's awesome. Like, and I don't use that term a lot. It is awesome. It definitely inspires all. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's the one thing anytime I can get away from the light to go see the sky, it's
incredible.
It's definitely cool.
Yes.
So I love this information and awesome trip. Again, like I have friends who do the coolest stuff. But I have sort of these end of interview questions that I don't send.
Okay.
Well, I'm not supposed to send, but I have been sending them by accident to certain people. So sort of rapid fire, but questions just that I'm asking everyone. What is your favorite road trip snack?
I like traditional Chex Mix, homemade if I can do it, if I can swing it.
That's a good one. I have to remember to do that.
Yeah, it's so good.
What is your next planned trip?
Going to Belgium for beer and chocolate.
Nice.
And then we're spending a week in Belgium and then sail back, do a transatlantic on a ship.
Very cool. Dream trip.
Galapagos. Would love to go to the Galapagos. Would love that. Or Fiji.
Oh, Fiji.
Yeah.
What's your favorite trip you've taken so far?
Oh, favorite trip. 12 years ago, Dana and I went to Italy and Germany and drove the whole, loved that. That was so much fun.
That would be a good one. Do you have a favorite travel tip that you could share with us?
Yes. To get TSA pre-check or whatever the thing is called. So get pre-certified so you don't have to wait in the lines. And there was another one. What was it? TSA pre-check, and I can't remember the other one. I had two, but that's get extra legroom. If I can't afford to fly like first class. It's not in the budget. So pay for extra legroom though.
I know, exit row for the win.
Absolutely.
That was the greatest thing when Julia was old enough to get into the exit row.
Yes.
When you pack, do you fold or roll your clothing?
I roll in, put them in the bags, like the little pet travel pouches.
The little cubes.
Yes, the cubes. That's them. Yes.
Michelle has shared with me, she rolls her whole outfit together.
Oh.
I know. I was like, life-changing. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna try that.
I reuse my stuff though. So like I might take like 3 pair of pants and like 3 different blouses, but then I'll like mix and match and make 7 different outfits out of it.
Right. Like air it out and put it back on.
Exactly. I'm a light packer.
Travel playlist. Who or what is on your travel playlist?
I'm a child of the 80s. So there's 38 Special, there's Bruce Hornsby, Sean Mullins, the Eagles. I love the Southern rock, and I love like Sister Hazel. I like the alt, what was called the alt, sort of stuff back then. But yeah, mostly 80s. I'm an 80s girl.
Now, is Dana does he agree, or does he have different taste?
Yes, but he's a little bit older than me, so I think he would go more 70s. So he would definitely go more 70s. If you made him choose like an era, be the 70s, and I'm an 80s. But yeah, he likes that kind of stuff too, for the most part.
Very cool. Well, this has been great. I so appreciate this information, and are you planning to go out there again? Is this like a regular trip, or? Yeah,
well, definitely. We love the horseback riding. I'd love to try a different ranch, because we've been to this one 3 or 4 times. I went to, like I said, I did the tent camping, which was a lot of fun, but I don't know that I'd want to do it again. It was a lot of hard riding. And you did a whole lot more with your horses on that trip.
Okay.
But I'd love to try a different ranch. I'd love to try a different, same sort of style of ranch, of vacation, but just a different, like Colorado maybe, or Montana, or you see a different section of the United States.
Yeah, get a little different landscape.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Well, this is great. I want to thank you for your time and your information, and I hope this inspires some people to check out the CM Ranch or other ranches, and look at this as an option for their traveling as well. So
cool. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Laurie for giving us the lowdown on this fun vacation. Please head over to the show notes on the website at theroamingyeti.com to find out where to follow Laurie online and a link to CM Ranch. And thank you for listening. I hope these episodes inspire you to get out there and roam, even in your own neighborhood. Please subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you like what we're doing here, please leave a review and rating. It's very helpful to us. Talk to you soon, and keep roaming.